What is up, guys? J'espère que vous allez bien, que vous êtes en pleine forme. Bienvenue sur le podcast Conversation Awesome avec Carmackin. A place where we speak Franglish, say the word awesome a lot, mais surtout un endroit d'inspiration et d'éducation pour vous aider à optimiser votre santé globale from the inside out. Mon nom est Claudia, fondatrice de Carmackin, et ma mission avec ce podcast est de t'amener dans un monde de développement personnel, d'optimisation d'habitudes de vie et de découverte so you can unleash your potential and live the life you truly want and deserve. Merci d'être à l'écoute. You're awesome. What is up, beautiful souls? Welcome to this awesome conversation. Bienvenue si c'est ta première fois sur le podcast. Un épisode spécial aujourd'hui avec une invitée awesome. I am sitting down with my soul sister, dear friend, Monika. We're going to share about how we met and the journey we both been on since we met 4 years ago. Monika est surtout pas la même personne qu'elle était quand je l'ai rencontrée il y a de ça 4 ans. On s'est rencontrés lors d'une retraite pour travailler sur soi, tant au niveau mental, émotionnel, physique, mais aussi spirituel. Et depuis cette retraite-là, on est restés évidemment de très bonnes amies et on s'est soutenus à travers nos propres healing journey. Le work, le développement personnel, le développement spirituel, travailler sur soi, bref. She's come such a long way and I'm super grateful to have her on the podcast today. She shares her story, elle nous parle de son histoire de façon très, très vulnérable, très, très transparente. Elle nous parle de ses idées noires qu'elle a déjà eues, des comportements qu'elle avait d'auto-sabotage, d'autodestruction même, et de différentes modalités qu'elle a utilisées dans les dernières années pour aller mieux, pour travailler sur elle, pour s'aider. So it's a powerful, beautiful, inspiring conversation. Parce que je fais mon intro en Franglish. I'm doing my intro in Franglish because the conversation is in English. Et je vous souhaite vraiment une bonne écoute, d'écouter de façon attentive, d'ouvrir votre cœur aussi, puis d'être reconnaissante de pouvoir entendre that beautiful journey que Monika nous partage aujourd'hui. Donc, comme d'habitude, si vous avez des questions pour nous, du feedback après l'écoute, if there's anything you want to tell us as feedback or ask us after you listen to the episode, please don't hesitate to reach out to either me or Monika. Je vais mettre son Instagram aussi dans la description du podcast. Comme ça, vous allez pouvoir connecter avec elle si jamais des parties de son histoire résonnent et que vous avez envie de partager, de lui poser des questions ou tout simplement de connecter avec le awesome soul qu'elle est. All right, I'm done with the Franglish. Let's jump into English and let's dive into this beautiful, awesome conversation that we had. All right. I'm a little nervous for this one. Monika, welcome to the awesome conversation.
Well, thank you for allowing me to share the space with you.
Yeah, because you can't say thank you for inviting me because you invited yourself 100 times and we're finally here. You are officially on my podcast and I'm grateful to have you here. And I'm nervous because we might just start laughing for half an hour and that would be an epic episode. So again, welcome to this awesome conversation.
Thank you.
I feel like we have to give some context to our listeners of like how we met and why we're here today talking about your inspiring, amazing story. So it was back in June 2019. And the first day we met, we shared a bed together.
Yeah.
So basically, we both went to Ken and Bharat's retreat back in, June of 2019. They were both on the podcast before. I talk about them, quite often. Bharat's been a big, pillar in my healing journey and yours as well. And we were sharing the room and we're just like, okay, I guess there's just one bed. So nice to meet you. I'm going to sleep on this side and you sleep on this side. And I remember we were both listening to the hypnosis that Brenda made for us. I was like,
That's
we do have something in common, like we know the same people, So that was then. And now almost 3 years later, 4 years, 2023. Yeah. 4 years later. Yeah. Maths is hard. We've seen each other go through hell and back a few times.
Yep.
We've been there for each other through it all. I go see you because you live in Pickering, so about 4.5 hours away from me. every few months when I'm not traveling, and I just come in, sit on the ground, and we just talk for hours. We have dance parties or inner childs connect a lot. And you just bring out that side of me, which I'm like really grateful for. So all that to say, yeah, you're not the same person you were back then. And I'm not the same person I was back then. And that's what I want to chat about today.
Yes. And we've done mushroom ceremonies together.
Yes.
And Cambo ceremonies together.
Damn Cambo. And so I want to ask, who was Monika in June 2019? And who are you today? Like, what are the biggest, most important differences that you feel and that you notice about yourself in those 4 years going through all of those healing modalities and that journey and that growth and all of it?
It's a great question.
I mean, it's an awesome conversation, eh? So we're going to ask some awesome questions.
So June 2019, when I met you, I was very lost in who I was as a human. I was living with my family. I was very low in self-esteem, my confidence. I was very confused, a lot of self-hatred for myself, and very, very, very much in pain as a human. I was looking for exterior things to help me and fix me, basically.
Mm-hmm. What kind of exterior things?
I would try to do yoga. I would try to do just go to trainer I always thought it was my exterior that I hated. But it wasn't. It was a lot more of the inner storm inside. And I would go to anything for diet-wise. I've done herbal magic. I've done herbal one. I've done anything Jenny Jones, anything you Weight Watchers, done everything. Mm-hmm. And it was just really not to satisfy my internals, but it was more like me thinking that I was not worthy enough to be in this life, looking the way I am in my body today. A lot of that also caused a lot of chaos within me. I had been physically hurting myself for probably 12 plus years. And it's all started just, the odd, pulling your hair. Then it went from taking a lead pencil and trying to scratch my arm. Then I went from that to scissors, to knives, to razors, and anything that I could literally take that physical storm inside and put it on outside of my body so I can control it. Mm-hmm. And then the suicidal intentions started coming, and it was a whole big ball of darkness, I would call it at that time. That was me in 2019, basically.
Thank you for sharing that. Before you talk about who you are today, I remember, because I was very different as well. I think, and you still tell me oh my God, the confidence that you have now, when I walked into that room and when you walked into that room, you were very self-conscious, very quiet, very just staying, a bit outside of the group until we had that moment on that dog that we just literally started to sing and dance. And we had a full on concert for the seagulls. And I was like, oh, look at that. That's inside of her. She is that person as well. But we had to go through a lot to be able to be that confident, or that person who feels less that they have to self-harm or use different modalities. So yeah, I'm proud to see you today compared to June 2019.
Thank you. And same, you are exactly the same. Who you were in 2019 ain't who you are today.
Yeah. And thank God.
Yep.
So how would you describe yourself today? How are you feeling? How are you showing up in the world? What are the biggest differences?
I think the number one thing is I speak my truth now as much as I possibly can. And obviously mindfully, without others telling me I wanted to say, shut up, or, sit in a corner and be that good little girl that we've told you to be. Mm-hmm. Also, the dark thoughts and the different modalities that I've been using and learning and have incorporated in my life have helped me deal with the dark thoughts that have come. And it's been over a year now that I haven't cut myself externally, which has been the most amazing thing I possibly have done for myself. And I'm not saying that those dark thoughts are erased and they're gone and they don't come back at all. It is easier to sit with now and actually hear them this time instead of trying to shove them down in a little box. And taking that pain externally gives me the concentration outside. Now I sit in there and I listen to them and I ask them what they need and what my body needs to be heard. I remember saying this to multiple people this week. If you don't hear yourself, who is going to hear you? And the screams are inside us, but we don't want to hear them because we think they're too dark, right? We can't sit uncomfortably with our thoughts because it's too painful and all the stories that we want to tell. And of course, pain is pain. It hurts. It really does. But also that pain wants to be heard too, as well. And just being able to be more confident in who I am as a female, being raised up in an Indian culture, being in a male-oriented job position since I was young has always deterred me from speaking up. So speaking up in these professions now have been much more easier for me to know that I'm just speaking my truth and not everybody's going to receive it that way. And that's okay. Also just being able to just be who I am, the weird Monika that like loves to sing out loud, that loves to dance. Now that, other things are flowing through and people can actually just see me for who I truly am. I remember just saying sentences or just stumbling right now when I would be like, oh my God, I feel stupid, but we're all human. We all make mistakes. So it's very beautiful, I want to say, to see who I am when I look in the mirror now. And don't get me wrong, I do struggle today. I still struggle. I've had a very off week and that's okay. And I think the most important thing I've learned in 2023 and who I am today is reaching out for help and support is so important. I mean, we all think we can do it by ourselves because that's what we've always been told. I've always been like, no, don't worry. Nobody cares for you. Nobody's going to care. Oh, Claudia has too much on her plate. She can't handle my stuff right now. And just trying to hold yourself in one little box as much as you can. And, I've learned that if Claudia doesn't have space today, maybe, somebody else will have space for me today to talk. And if they don't, and, I actually do have a paper called Hurricane 5. And it has 15 people that I've asked permission that I can contact when I have dark days. I have 5 movies on there that are going to make me laugh and TV shows and some food that I would want to eat. That's comfort, obviously not sugar consistently because that really messes with my mental health all the time, but something that's nutrition that I would love to eat that feels like a little warm hug internally. So there's things that I have that I visually can see sometimes when we're not having those really good days. So back then I wouldn't have thought about all this. So
yeah. When you know better, you do better, right? And that's why we have to seek that help and seek those coaches and those retreats and put ourselves into these containers for us to do the work that's hard. But like you said, you can't do it by yourself. And we both found our soul tribe in the last few years, and we have the same people in our soul tribes as well. That's how we connected. But the power of that, I mean, I used to always kind of roll my eyes a little bit when people would tell me like, oh, you're the average of the 5 people you hang out the most with, or like your what's the quote? Like your vibe attracts your tribe. And I would always be like, I have great people around me. I've been friends with them for like 10, 12, 15 years. But then when I actually found my soul tribe, I was like, oh, that's what they mean, and it's that non-judgment and that space that's being held for you and that respect for capacity on both ends, of that relationship. That is very important.
Right. Yeah. 100%. Just speaking about having friends has always been an issue for me since I was young. Being the middle child, I was never seen in my family. And I just had this discussion with my sibling today. And as going to school, being like basically taken out of school in 1994 out of Scarborough and being put in Ajax, making new friends when I was 8 years old was very difficult for me. And I never fit in anywhere in elementary school. I never fit in with anybody in high school, to a point where I would make myself fit in places where nobody really saw me. I was just there. They didn't even know I existed there. College was where I found one of my good friends who actually saw who I was. And I still didn't understand it at that point. And then I'd always chase friendships. And when something would go wrong, I would think that it was always my fault in that friendship.
Right.
But when you meet this soul tribe that you meet, and these people that are just beautiful souls, I don't have to chase anything. And I still have that fear of chasing, for sure, or that fear of, and I've been very open about this, where, I pay a lot of my friends. I give them monthly payments. And by that means, I mean that most of my friends are my coaches or my energy healers, or they do workshops. I'm always helping, I'm always going to their businesses or helping a lot of my friends out when it comes to, when they're creative on the creative business side. But I feel like, if I stop paying them, these friends are going to disappear. And, I've had a lot of friends that have said to me, money is just an energy exchange. It doesn't keep this friendship going.
Yep.
Our friendship is on our human side, to say. So it's been very interesting of you bringing that up and what I've been dealing with. But it's friends, when you meet those people, it's like, you can stumble on words.
Yeah.
You can have a wedgie and release it in front of them. You can have a booger in your nose, and you feel comfortable around those people and not feel like they're judging you. And you're able to openly talk to them about what your true feelings are, and not the surface feelings that we all think that we need to talk about. Oh, I'm having a bad day, but not able to go really deep about your bad day and what was happening to contribute to your bad day.
And I mean, that's the beautiful thing about true friendship and that soul to soul connection. There were times where you texted me hey, Claudia, I know you're coming this week. FYI, I'm going through this, and that. So XYZ. Perfect. You let me know. And then I'm I'm here, whatever you need. If you want to vent, you vent. If you want us to just sit in silence, we sit in silence. If you don't want me to come, I won't come. If you want us to have a crazy dance party, we'll do that. And that's the beautiful thing about asking for help, but also telling the person how you actually feel for real, right? Because if not, we just wear a mask. And I still do that with people, and that's not to say just remove all the mask and just be in your shit or your hard feelings with everybody and just talk about, but find those key people where you can be truly yourself.
Yep.
And be there when you go through a tough time or a dark time,
Yep. Finding those safe people are so important, that you can be yourself and you could be who you need to be in front of them. And also, you're right, telling them, hey, I remember July when you were coming, I said, hey, listen, or June, sorry. And I was listen, I'm having a very rough moment, and I'm not very communicative right now. And you were all right, cool. I'll just be there. And it was just amazing just to have you just be there. I didn't have to talk to you. I didn't have to I remember I was vacuuming when you came. Because I was in distraction mode. Yeah. And it was just nice to know that I didn't have to be this persona, because I had you in my space and I could just be who I needed to be. And you were just there to comfort me.
Yeah. So grateful for you, my friend.
You as well.
You mentioned that pain wants to be heard, and that's something that you had to learn, right? Instead of suppressing it, avoiding it, or literally cutting it. Now you're more able to sit with it. What is the biggest lesson that pain taught you in the last couple of years?
So I was never able to sit with pain until I started Cambo. Okay. And Cambo.
Let's do a little
a little introduction. Yeah.
What is Cambo? You also have a dog, Cambo, that we have to talk about because he's so cute. But now we're talking about Cambo, the medicine. So
that is correct.
People who've never heard of Cambo, what is Cambo?
So I'm going to try to invest in my abilities to describe what kambo is. Kambo is, it is the secretion from a frog in the Amazon. It is an animal medicine. And that secretion of the frog is, it is called poison, but you have it on your body, and you go through purging. And you are so uncomfortable at some points during this ceremony. You feel like you want to rip your kambo points off and call it a day. Mm-hmm. There's been times where I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. I can't. But kambo has really taught me to sit in my discomfort. Mm-hmm. And listen to my discomfort, because you have no choice when you're in a kambo ceremony.
Yeah, no, you don't. You do, but like there's Bharat there looking at you and be like, no, drink more water. No, keep the points on. No, 10 more minutes.
The best part is when you're like totally done and he's like, can you take a sip of water? And you're just like, no, you take a sip of water.
Yeah, I remember. Well, my first treatment with kambo was, you were there. It was when we did the retreat in 2020. You passed out right
Correct.
Beside me. I was going through my own discomfort. And yes, it is a medicine where you will most likely purge upwards or downwards. And I remember I had so much resistance and I could feel it. I was like, I feel nauseous. Like I know in my head I would feel better if I purged, but there was so much resistance. And then, Brad was like, Claudia, take more water. And my body just went like, F no. And that's when I purged, Yeah. But just there's a lesson, like, and that made me think after. I was like, okay, where else in my life am I not releasing something because I have resistance to release something, even though I know I'm going to feel better after? Right. Correct, so I feel that kambo is great to help you stay in your body, stay in your pain, because you don't have a choice, but also like every like thoughts or downloads or emotions that you feel during that 20, 30 minutes that feels like it's 2 hours. It just helps you think after, like, okay, if this came up, then what does that mean in my life? It's a very powerful medicine. So continue. That was helpful for you to
sit in discomfort. Correct. Yeah. To sit in discomfort and listen to that discomfort. Mm-hmm. And I don't think I ever listened to it. And it was November 14th, 2021. And I just cut myself, and I had a kambo ceremony on that Saturday, right after in Wakefield. And I remember sitting there and, I spoke about what my intentions were. I don't want to fight with myself every day, because I was, I felt like I was at war with myself every day internally. And I remember Bharat came up and, he lifted my sleeve, and I said, I wanted the kambo marks on my left arm, and because that was my cutting arm. I remember he lifted my sleeve and he touched the marks on my arm, and I just started to go. I cried so much because I was so ashamed of those marks, that he saw something that I was very ashamed of, because that to me felt like I was weak and I couldn't be strong enough. And instead of being, it's okay, right? It was okay. It was 8 months, 7 months later. It's okay. Sometimes we have to restart. Sometimes we have to reset. Mm-hmm. And being hard on ourselves because, we have this addiction, and doesn't matter what kind it is, because to me, cutting was my addiction. Mm-hmm. Being so hard on ourselves when we break that addiction, and because we go back to our habits, it doesn't make you weak, because you forget all the 7 months that you didn't do it, mm-hmm. So true. And it's okay. And I remember him putting the points on. I did 12 points that day.
Wow. That's a lot. For those of you who don't know about kambo.
That was a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah.
And sitting with it, I think I sat with it about 30 minutes, and sitting with it, I remember just being with my pain and being with all those thoughts that were going through my mind and everything that was going. And I remember Jasmine came and, they sat beside me, and this is what I needed. I needed support while I was purging. And I remember just after the ceremony too, there was so much to release because there was so much sadness and guilt and anger within myself because I cut it. But on the other hand, it also said, it's okay. It's okay. And that ceremony really opened up the gate of sitting with my pain and being able to be in discomfort with these thoughts. And it taught me to be okay to be sad.
Yeah.
And it taught me it's
okay to not be okay.
To cry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was okay that, I'm having a bad day and I don't fucking need to explain it to anybody.
Exactly.
I don't. And so that was a very huge turning point in my own healing journey. And that was the last time I cut myself, and I haven't ever since. So it's been great. So Cambo has been a very big part of my healing journey. That's why I named my dog Cambo.
Yeah. If anyone is interested in finding out more about Cambo, like this is not the main purpose of this conversation today, but definitely check out Bharat's page, reach out to him. I'll put his IG, his Instagram page in the show notes on the podcast. Powerful medicine.
Correct.
And
it definitely is.
Yeah. And like, I love that you shared that, it taught you to sit with your pain and to be okay with like feeling those uncomfortable feelings, which is something that I had to learn as well. Even like last year in 2022 was the first time I was sitting with anger in my adult life, like the very first time at like 31 years old. And I was proud of myself. I remember texting Emma and Sarah, and I probably said it to you as well. I was just like, oh my God, like I felt and I expressed anger for the first time in my life. And it was a journey to get there, to be able to allow myself to feel those emotions, because we're programmed differently, especially as women, like sit down, be quiet. Everything's always okay. Put a smile on your face. So emotions. What other modalities do you use right now, or have you used in the last few years? Any like habits or practices that help you managing that pain or keep moving forward on your healing journey?
I would definitely say mushrooms has been a huge one for me. I think we were at that mushroom ceremony where I was talking to my shadow self. Yeah. And I was very, very angry, very, very angry. And I remember I didn't know where I was, but we have this amazing sitter named Bharat. So he was there supporting me through my journey. And
again, before you keep going, we'll just do a little side note.
Right, a little side notes about these.
Because I haven't really talked about plant medicines or mushroom ceremonies or ayahuasca, or any of those on the podcast. So yeah, when we say mushrooms, we are talking about magic mushrooms, but it's in a very healing, spiritual setting. So basically the journey, yes, we can be like a small group of people, but it's like to each their own. So we have blindfolds, there's a playlist of the music. We have a lot of stuff to do before the week of the ceremony to prep. And then we go through our journeys, whatever the consciousness of the mushrooms will show us. It's very powerful to do some healing, some emotional releasing, to understand, past lives, traumas. Like it's so powerful. Again, not the purpose of this conversation to just talk about mushroom ceremonies. Correct. But we have done a couple together, and they're always very powerful. The first one we did together, we laughed for like 20 minutes.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
We were like singing. Every time I hear that song, it just brings me back to that moment. So it can be a very fun journey as well, but it will give you and show you exactly what you. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely one of them. They've been so much part of my life that I forget that not everybody knows about this.
Yeah.
And yes, it's in a very ceremonial way. And also working with Brenda, like huge difference in my, her helping me reprogram that subconscious and those stories that I've been telling myself. And a lot of the other stuff that we've been working on was forgiveness, has been such huge impact on my life. her hypnosis at night. I mean, both of us had hypnosis that night. I was so happy that you had earphones because I was like, this is going to be very interesting. 2 Brenda hypnosis at once.
Brenda was on the podcast at the beginning. So if you, again, people that are listening want to find out more about what she's doing, I think she was on episode 6 or 8. I can never remember, but powerful subconscious reprogramming your beliefs, using affirmations the right way. And she tells it how it is. And she's had a huge impact on both of her journeys. So
100%.
Yeah. What are some beliefs, core beliefs that you were able to reprogram in the last few years with those audios and hypnosis and, sessions with her?
A lot of the I am dumb and stupid that I've always been told since I was little, be it teachers, be it parents, be it anybody in my life. They would always tell me I'm stupid, I'm dumb, like I wouldn't know how to do anything. And even when I started my new job, like a while back in 2014, I honestly felt stupid and dumb and I would cry every day. And working with Brenda has really taught me that those are stories that were not mine, that were told to me. Yep. And it's time to, program that story where I am smart and I am, very bright and I learn things so fast. And also, I'm not worthy, right? Not being worthy of having money, not being worthy of a relationship, not being worthy of having a good job. Like all these things of worthiness showed up for me that I wasn't worthy enough for anything. And we definitely went and reprogrammed all that stuff as well. And a huge difference working with her.
I feel like the self-worth piece is at the core of pretty much everything, right? Because let's say you're a people pleaser and you're just trying to please everybody and say yes to everybody. Probably under that layer, there's a part of you that's like, oh, if I please everybody, then, they're going to see my worth and they're going to love me for it. Right. For me, it was the perfectionist. If I'm being quote unquote perfect in everything, then that gives value to my own worth. If I have to justify myself for having a bad day or just feeling a little off or out of it, then that means that I'm not going to be worthy of like people's whatever, like love, attention, empathy. So self-worth and like being worthy is a huge one for, I think, everybody.
100%. Yep.
Yeah.
And, so that's what I worked on her. And my other modalities that I love doing is our retreats. And I think retreats are fantastic containers that are created by humans. One of the retreats that I do go to, and a huge one that made a huge difference in my life was the Bliss Retreat back in November 20 of 21. And that brought up a lot for me. And that's actually the integration was where the cutting came from. And that was okay for me because that got me to another place in my life. And the container is held beautifully by Jasmine. They do an excellent job making you feel safe and secure and
permission to just be yourself.
Yes. Like you can her Osho is something that I love. It's a meditation, 4 stages. And one of the stages in the Osho is rage. And I can tell you that I did Osho twice and I could not rage. I finally raged on my 3rd Osho or 2nd Osho. I can't remember now, but I raged and it felt so good because just to know that I was safe. And I remember Jasmine, they came up to me and said, "You are safe." And I'm like, "Oh, I am safe. Oh, I can scream and that's okay." And the other, the holotrophic breathing. That's amazing. Breathwork is fantastic.
I cried for like an hour, like a solid hour, just from breathing. It's insane. Like, yes, we're talking about Kambo, we're talking about like plant medicine and psychedelics and like subconscious reprogramming with a coach, but there's also tools and modalities that we can all use literally for free on a weekly basis from the comfort of our home, as long as we feel safe, obviously. But that breathing was just so powerful. I cried for an hour. I released so much. It was tough, but beautiful at the same time.
Yeah. I remember doing it myself, and I felt I came up into a very unsafe space due to the fact what memory showed up for me, and then reminding myself, bring myself back into my body because I was at the retreat in a very safe place was very, very interesting for my body to feel that day. And I'm very grateful I got to attend that retreat in 2021 because the growth that I got from that retreat has been just fantastic. And it is a 4-day retreat, and it's great. I put my cell phone away all weekend. I do not touch it. And then sometimes I do convince the facilitator to take my cell phone because I don't want it back. And the second retreat I have attended is the Align retreat, which I call the very masculine retreat, and I call the Bliss retreat a very feminine retreat, where the Bliss retreat does more flowing, you have time, or the
lots of emotion work as well.
Correct.
The chaos and the feminine energy coming up.
Very flowy. And I find the Align retreat is a very masculine. It's the next thing, which I enjoy as well. They both are fantastic retreats, and, doing the Align as well. The space is beautiful. It is, my friend Sandy's space. She has like huge amount of acres of layers of land, and the dog, and very comforting. Food is delicious as well. And just going through what you need to go through with the plant medicines and animal medicines at that retreat is also fantastic. So, learning all these tools, and, I don't know if you remember from Brenda, but tapping has been fantastic. Tapping has been one of my favorite and best tools. And also grounding yourself every morning to make sure that you're in your body. You still can have a bad day, but being in your body and keeping that energy clean has always been very, very important to me as well.
Yes, because we can do the retreats, we can hire the coach, we can use some modalities like plant or animal medicine and all that, but it's how we integrate what we go through and what we do on a day-to-day basis that's going to keep us at the level of healing that we want to anchor in until the next phase or the next layer, right?
Correct. Yep.
Let's talk about integration. Like, what does that mean for you? Why is it so important? I had to learn the hard way. That retreat that we did in February with Bharat in 2020, like, it took me days to get fully back into all of my bodies. And I remember I think it was a family dinner or family lunch, maybe like two days after. And my mom texted me after because she was worried. She was like, "Are you okay? Like, you don't seem like you're all here." Like, she thought I was like in a sect somewhere in the wood, like doing what, God knows what. But now every time I go through a retreat, a ceremony, something, I always make sure that I book myself a lot of space and time after for integration. So what is integration? Why is it important? How do you usually integrate after these experiences?
So I had no idea what integration was.
Same, girl.
Okay. Like, I did an IS ceremony back in 2019, and I was a clusterfuck, like up and down, emotions everywhere, scattered. And support wasn't as present for me at that time. Correct. So now that when I've done retreats and the ceremonies, and I really truly learned what integration was in 2020 after my first mushroom ceremony. That was the first time I knew that I wanted to move out of my parents' house, and that was it. I knew it right then and there. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Integration really means that for me, what it means is taking what you learned in the retreat or in your ceremony, in anything that you're doing, and implementing it in your day-to-day basis, understanding what needs to change, what needs to move forward, move the dial, to say. Also being compassionate with yourself, and being okay with you being sad and being confused and being out of whack, as they say, right? And, I think Bharat just posted something about today about, re-grounding yourself, coming back after ceremony, right? And, he's absolutely correct with like the foods and stuff. But you have to understand that emotions are okay after after a retreat, and being out of whack, it's okay. Like that's integration, and listening to your body, listening to your thoughts, asking your body what it needs. Does it need rest? Does it need a day off work? Does it need to go lie in the bath? Does it need to go to a spa? What does your body need? Does it need that, you need no TV for today? What does your body need? And working through that, and working through all the stuff that you've come back with from that ceremony or that retreat, and implementing it. Yeah. And also asking for support, because it's not easy to do integration on your own. Like I had Kambo ceremony on last Sunday, not this past Sunday, the Sunday before that. And it's been a week, and I had to reach out for help. I needed support because I've just felt all over the place. And I saw Bharat the other day, and I said, hey, I finally, first time in my life, usually he gets my mind messages.
Yeah.
I don't really send them to him. I telepathically send them to him. And within like a day or two, he'd be like, hey, do you need an energy session? And I was like, yeah, this time I actually vocally asked for it. And I said, I need an energy session. I talked to Brenda as well. And the support is so important in integration. And you're not weak for asking for support.
Yeah. I remember after that retreat, we were all texting each other. I remember Ken texting me, and he was like, Flo, are you okay? And I was like, not really, dude. He's like, I think we're all a little fucked up. I was like, yes, we all are, but it's okay. Again, just because you're being shown stuff that sometimes can really shake your snow globe. Like, holy shit, like I'm realizing this. What does this mean now when I go back to my day-to-day work and gym and friends and social life, or, when I go back to my home, now that I've seen this or felt this or went back to like a moment in my life that I suppressed before, like, what do I do with the emotions or the information that was shown to me? And that's why we need space and support and time to integrate that. It's the same as when I have a very powerful coaching session with my clients, and we talk about the relationship with food. And it's like an hour of like tears and like, oh my God, I hadn't realized that the reason why I ate my emotions is because I'm not happy in my marriage anymore. And then they need time after that to process this and to journal about it, and maybe to reach out to me after so we can still talk about it. Right. So if we're always go, I mean, the ceremony is not going to be very effective in the long run. Right. So
correct. Yeah.
For me, it's like you, like I give myself some time. So I make sure that after, like I have a few days that are like either off completely of work or like very like slow days. For me, writing and talking helps me process what I see or what I feel in ceremonies. So I always have my key people like, okay, let's plan a call, let's chat about it. So it helps me process. I journal about it a lot. I'll listen to the music as well. So in ceremony, usually, like I said, we have a playlist. So re-listening to like the songs and the music helps me kind of process and integrate. And it's just being gentle with yourself and allowing whatever needs to come up, and I love that we're talking about this, because like I said, I've never really talked about all of this on the podcast before. So I think it's very interesting and fascinating, and different modalities than the ones that we're usually, used to. So thank you for sharing all of that.
You're welcome. You're welcome for harassing you to be on here.
Before we quickly chat about Kambo, your dog, I want to ask you, Monika, because somebody might be listening to this and be like, I don't want to do any of that. It sounds horrible. Like it sounds like it's hard. And it is hard. It's painful with the medicines. There's a lot of tears that come up. There's a lot of changes that we need to make in our life. The healing journey is not always rainbows and unicorns. So why do we keep doing it? And why is it worth it to go through these modalities, these ceremonies, these retreats, these moments, that coaching, those changes? Like, why is it worth it? Even if it's hard.
So I did a mushroom ceremony with Jasmine in November, and I said to them that when I came out of the ceremony, I felt like multiple costumes have come off me. The reason for healing is not to, let's see who ends the race first. It's more like growth for myself and understanding what has been holding me back for the happiness that I wanted. What is holding me back for the happiness, right? Like, why can't I move forward and understand this? You know, it also makes me understand triggers and awareness and emotions, and knowing all these things are just so much more easier for me to go through life every day now. If I didn't go through these modalities and through all these, I wouldn't be who I am today. I wouldn't be the person who can say, I've been 1 year from cutting myself. I wouldn't be that person to say that I'm happy in my body that I am today. Don't get me wrong, we have off days. And living the life that I said I wanted to live when it came to moving out with finding myself was very complicated when I moved out. I was very confused. I was very lost. But if I didn't start that healing journey in the beginning, I would never know that I wanted to move out, and this is what was gonna occur to step into womanhood, right? So healing journeys, I always say that it just helps sometimes to move forward in what we want to do in life. And also for me, I think one of the things is that for my healing journey is to talk about it a lot. I have just started to be vocal about my cutting and my mental health with the suicidal intentions. And it helps other people. And I never understood this part ever in my life until I had multiple people come out with me in circles and in retreats and said, thank you so much for speaking about it, because this is what I was feeling, but I didn't know how to express this because I didn't think other people would understand. And going through this healing journey also has taught me to hold space for people, not to be judgmental, because I was a judgmental human being. You know, all the things that I thought people needed to look like, be like, seem like, you know, talk like, it's all wiped out because we're all just human. So I don't know if I answered your question about the healing journey, but that's what it means to me as a human being. And I'm so happy that I met Bharat, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have started this healing journey. And I wouldn't have met all these amazing human beings in my life. I wouldn't have met you. I wouldn't have met Brenda, you know, Jasmine, even Ken. Like, I wouldn't have met everybody, this beautiful circle that I've created. So sometimes going on your healing journey, you can find the beautiful people that come along with you on your journey. Some will stay and some will go, and that's okay. Because they're only supposed to be here for the amount they're supposed to be here for.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. Before we wrap up, you just got a dog who's so cute. Yes, I met him when I was home, so a few months ago already. His name is Cambo. Now we understand why, because that medicine has been very powerful and very meaningful in your healing journey. I know you had resistance to get a dog for a very long time. You had some fears.
Yes.
Now, a few months in, what is the biggest lesson that Cambo, the dog, taught you?
A lot of it is patience, and not to be always in a rush, right? So when he was little, he's 5 months now. I got him when he was 2. And in the beginning, he would just walk and sit. I was like, what is your problem? Like, let's move. We got to go. And he didn't give me an option but to stand still. And he also showed me my anger. And I mean, not as a rage anger, but this anger that was seated inside me that reminded me of my father's anger. And it was a very kind of like an abusive anger that came out. And obviously I don't abuse my dog, but I could feel the rage of the abuse that I wanted to. And I was like, whoa, what is this? And I wouldn't have seen it if I didn't have him. And he just showed me that love is so unconditional. Like, no matter what day it is, we're still going to wag our tail. The day's still great. And, I'm going to lick all your face and give you all the kisses. No matter if you yelled at me today, it doesn't matter because I still love you. And just his love has just been fantastic and taught me so much. And just like, taking care of him and having that animal to take care of. And it's been fantastic. He's given me a routine, which I enjoy. No matter what, if I'm having a bad day, as I said on my post the other day, if I'm having a bad day, I have no choice. I have to get out of bed to walk him. And that to me is a gift. It's not like, oh my God, I have a dog and I got to do it. No, it's a gift, because if I didn't have him, I'd probably still be curled up in bed today. So he's taught me so much. He literally mirrors a lot of stuff that I needed to see.
Yeah. Powerful. I remember when I walked to the apartment and I was like expecting him to just like, because he was like a puppy. He was like 2 or 3 months, and I just walked in and he's just like sitting on the couch. His energy was so grounded and quiet. And I was like, oh my God, this is the perfect dog for you.
Yes.
So thank you, Campbell, for everything that you do for Monika. It's amazing. I'm excited to see you and see him as well in a couple months. Thank you so much, my friend, for sharing all of this. If we had a conversation back in 2019, holy shit, it would have been so different. So this is just a testament of all the work you've been doing on yourself. And it's been an honor for me to witness that and to have you be there for me through it all and vice versa. And I know that we're going to keep being there for each other in the next few years because that healing journey never ends. And that's okay.
And thank you for having me on and letting me share my story.
Yeah, thank you for inviting yourself.
You're welcome.
So I usually ask all my guests the same question to wrap up the conversation. So even though like you actually invited yourself, I'm still gonna ask you the question. What is your favorite quote and why?
So I don't read.
I know you don't. So Monika has all these incredible, amazing books in her apartment, in her condo. So every time I go, I'm going to borrow these for a couple months. And it's like, cool. Like I buy them, I don't read them, but at least someone reads them. So
it's like I call myself a librarian. I don't read. I'm 37 years old and I've not read a whole book yet. My goal is to read one this year.
It will happen.
I think one of my favorite quotes are, Ram Dass says it a lot, and it's the Ramji, which is a Hindu god, asked Hanuman, which he serves him, and he says, "Monkey, who are you?" And he says, "When I don't know who I am, I serve you. When I do know who I am you." And we all are just a mirror of each other.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
We all are just one, but we all are a mirror of each other. And we just need to see that and the unconditional love that we have for each other. And we are love, right? And I think it's hard to believe that when you say it, but it is absolutely true. So that is one of my favorite quotes that I read off a post.
Not a book.
Not a book.
Oh my God. I love your laugh so much. Thank you, my friend, for this conversation. It's been wonderful to have you on.
Thank you.
Love you.
I love you too.
J'espère que cette conversation awesome t'a inspiré. Et d'ailleurs, I would love to hear back from you. Rejoins Karmakin sur les réseaux sociaux and tag me in a post pour partager ce que tu retiens de cet épisode. Je serais vraiment grateful aussi si tu pouvais me laisser un rating and review pour le podcast. Ça me permet d'avoir un impact positif sur plus de gens comme toi. Merci beaucoup d'avoir été à l'écoute and until next time, je te souhaite une journée awesome.